kind of world I would love to exist in would have challenges, but there would be such a variety of felt presence of the challenge, like how it feels internally. Basically, you'd never lose heart, because when you lose heart in a world like that, in a life, all the other experiences, like, you aren't like living them to your fullness because something's broken inside, like the will to want to. Because once your heart's not in it, you're just like, you're not really doing your best at that point, because you're not really enabled to do your best, because you're kind of disabled or impaired or handicapped by something that's blocking you. I'm speaking from experience. I've had this. I've come in and out of it, and it's an interesting phenomenon that reoccurs. And yeah, losing heart is such a, like, how do you describe what that is? It's at the heart of a lot of depression, I would say, and mental struggle, to have the experience of losing heart. I would love to live in a world where losing heart just doesn't happen. Like, the heart always perseveres, even in the face of difficulty, in the face of pain and sadness and loss, that you still persevere, you still have the energy. And that's what makes me think in this world that there are, like, these archons that, like, feed on our energy, because I think we could take on any challenge here, even if it was, say, too much of a challenge, but we could still do it if there wasn't something stealing our energy. I'm sure we'll see after all this. I had a headlamp on, that's why I get this red mark. I work in the dark with the plants during their nighttime. Anyway, probably see that. But yeah, I dream of that. I dream of a world where I can just feel wholly like myself, and not like these invasive thoughts and feelings that happen every day. That I think it's unacceptable, it's inappropriate for a sovereign being to be manipulated and have other intrusive things invading our space. And what do we do about these things? Well, we're figuring that out, but awareness around them is the first thing, because once more of us figure it out, we can, like, navigate, orient ourselves with a perspective where it's like not just blaming each other, but understanding the causality behind maybe someone losing heart. And oftentimes when someone loses heart, they become cynical and have a bad attitude and are, not pleasant to be around. So I try to look at it from that point of view. Because yeah, it doesn't feel good when someone's being grumpy at you. And then if you're grumpy back, it just, like, perpetuates that whole vibe that's unpleasant. And I think we should stand up for ourselves. Like, I've had to tell people who, like, have lashed out at me and, like, yelled at me. I'm like, look, we're mature adults. Like, we can handle this situation in a more appropriate way, in a more respectful way. Because when you're just projecting on someone, you're just basically spraying them with shit. Like, you're not, like, you're just making it harder for those around you. I mean, it's already hard for you, and then that's what the demons do, is they poise us against each other and be like, oh, well, this person's causing your suffering, and then you attack them, and then that's how the whole cycle perpetuates. We see it all the time here, and it's due to naivety and ignorance a lot of times, because if we knew what was really going on with someone, we would have more compassion and understanding, and to know what's going on with ourselves, to not take things so hard or be so hard on ourselves. I suppose the hope that I have is the possibility of all these worlds. We haven't discovered them yet. In fact, there's so many, I'd be willing to wager that we're not the only world that thinks we're the only world. Or at least, it would make sense if there were a lot more worlds out there. And there's probably a lot like this, with a similar species and similar physics, but a different vibe, a different culture, maybe advanced civilizations that have found a healthy, sustainable way to be with each other and with their planet. And it's just a healthier dynamic. Because we're all kind of a symbiotic creature as a whole. We have this malignant thing that like causes us to attack each other and feel bad. We don't know what that thing is. We have all kinds of ideas for what those things are, and there's probably a lot of them. And a human can only take so much. And a lot of spiritualist people will say, oh, the Lord will never give you more than you can handle. And of course there's also a lot of other spiritual people that say, yes, they will. You'll get more than you can handle. And that's part of this experience. I would just like to be able to go through a lifetime of being okay with everything that happens. Like not being at this crux of moral, like this is not okay type of existence. It's being conflicted deep down about just the dynamic here, and I don't feel like completely myself, but I'm learning about who I am and what I'm really all about, and to avoid those behaviors that is more of a travesty to my true character. I don't want to lash out at people. If someone's grumpy, I can relate because I get grumpy too. I try to have grace for them. And then I feel bad when people get grumpy on me and just go full derogatory, and it's like, look, I know if I were to have said this to you and you were grumpy, you would not handle it well. So I'm trying to lead by example in doing that, but a lot of us, it doesn't take much for us to stoop down to an immature level and not value each other and respect each other as we should, and lose that. It's like so many of us lose appreciation, for each other and the uniqueness therein. And I want to bring that back. I want us to see things anew and have a fresh perspective. And a good reset is great for that. Very hard to do a reset in this society unless you have money and you're financially independent enough to go on some vacation, just take a break from all this stuff, go on a road trip, go on some kind of a volunteer thing, or something that gives you the sense that you're helping and making the world a better place. And people with money can afford that, but for most people they can't. They don't have time to take off of work. So that's why it's so tough, because so many of us need a really good reset. Could really do for a good reset. I could really do for a break. I could really do for a good win in life. A lot of us could.